Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be analyzing the gameplay of the #1 Hockey Q player in the world. I'm going to be explaining how he is able to beat the best players in the world and share deep insights into his thought process and interaction knowledge. I'll not be explaining obvious tips, so this will be a very high level analysis. The first point to talk about is that he just used his Mighty Miner ability against an incoming musketeer. Now, he did that because against ranged troops in general, your Mighty Miner is going to get little to no value, so you might as well pop the ability just so that you'll force more elixir by the opponent in the opposite lane. Goes for a really nice hog in the right lane, and just quickly to explain why he went for a hog and didn't go for something else, is because generally a lot of giant graveyard decks run skeleton armies, so he went for a hog and a log, which not only would have countered the musketeer, but also would have predicted a skeleton army had the opponent had that in his deck. Turns out he's running guards, different story, but could have been a cool play. Goes for very aggressive hog, snowballs out of cycle, has to go for a musketeer, guards are out of cycle as well, and also because if he spends too much elixir on the left lane, he won't be able to support his giant in single in the right lane. Goes for a Mighty Miner. Now this is a big thing in that in general against giants, like just the giant as a card, when you're using a Mighty Miner deck, it's really good to just go for it at the bridge, DPS it down, so that by the time the support troops get to the bridge, there's no tank supporting them. Another small thing right there is that if you let a full HP musketeer cross the bridge, let it get one shot and you time your log perfectly, it will not get a second shot. It's kind of a very specific interaction that I'm not even going to lie, I only knew that watching him, so that's something to pick up. Again, goes for another hog left lane, great damage, and this is the next big thing I want to talk about, is that you'll notice throughout this matchup, look at that Ice Spirit to predict his Evo Musk. Throughout this matchup, he's really aggressive with his firecrackers, going for them up high. Why? His opponent has arrows. If he plays it low or he plays it even in the middle, like near his towers, they're just going to get arrowed before it even gets a shot. So what's the point? You might as well go for it up high. He goes for his, look at this. This is again a common sequence. He goes for his Mighty Miner in the back, then he goes for his Firecracker. Firecracker gets a shot. It cleans off a few bats. Hog at the same time goes for a log. I mean, that's such a ridiculous play by him. Such an insane play. But everything there was like so picture perfect, using 3-card cycle to its best, like fullest potential. He's going insanely. I mean, he had 2 hogs on the field at the same time. Firecracker again at the bridge, opponent's forced to arrow. Great, goes for a cannon low, and now he's ready to defend. Goes for a Mighty Miner again, Ice Spirit as well, just to get rid of the bats, but also to keep the giant in place. Logs, just protecting everything, really clean defense. And again, something else to notice, goes for really low guard so that the musketeer crosses the bridge so that his tower can DPS it down. Again, all these small things. Again, Firecracker at the bridge, he's really aggressive, opponent is forced to Firecracker, getting loads of this residual damage. Now he's sort of at a point where he can go again. When they giant in the back, you always go for your Mighty Miner in the back, same lane, right? Because you know that is the counter. Now he just, see, this is again high level gameplay that most players will probably start chucking hogs. He knows there's double elixir, the opponent has chucked stuff in the back, he's playing graveyard, so all he can do is just spell cycle. I mean, this was a picture perfect game. I hope you guys learned a thing or two, especially about going for high firecrackers. Some of the placements he did, incredible. 10 out of 10 gameplay. This next matchup, he's playing against Pekka Ram Rider. And again, he starts the game off using his ability. Now we know why he uses his ability, but why does he not delay it? He uses his ability early so that his opponent now has to think, and it also gives him more time to react and make plays. Right? If his opponent went for something at the bridge and he popped his ability when his Mighty Miner was right next to the Pekka, then he would have a tough time trying to react to everything and also attack and focus on both things. If he goes for it early, and by the way, I mean, look at this. Pekka's out of cycle, Firecracker at the bridge, use guards to defend the Pekka. Clean start. But going back to the Mighty Miner, if he delayed it and popped it at the bridge, maybe he would have got the Mighty Miner Death Bomb onto the actual Pekka itself. But that wouldn't have helped him at all. It would have really just given him a tough time to defend, especially because the opponent is playing Pekka Ram Rider, and the opponent would have then probably gone for a Ram Rider. So, opponent goes for a Pekka in the back. Obviously, that's kind of how you play it as the Pekka player. You go same lane. And he goes for a cannon. Now, I think this is, again, something that most players don't realize. But especially, he's seen that his opponent has arrows. Now, what are the chances his opponent has, arrows? Sorry, his opponent also has arrows, and he has Barb Barrel. The chance that his opponent has another big spell is very, very unlikely. Look at that. Look at that. High guards just to get anti-predict the arrows. That was kind of nuts. But going back to why you cycle cannons in this matchup, this goes back to identifying weaknesses of his opponent's deck. This isn't a normal Pekka Ram Rider deck. There's no lightning, there's no fireball. It's double small, maybe even triple small spell if you count arrows as a small spell, right? He catches, so this play by him I think was maybe questionable. I'm not sure if this really was the best Mighty Miner, but it does force out Elixir, especially this log. I think that was maybe a bit of an overcommit. But generally, you can see how he's just applying pressure and not letting his opponent settle into like a rhythm. Ice Spirits, just, cycling cards. And so far, he's identified that his opponent does not have a big spell, right? Therefore, he can stack cannons. You cannot stack firecrackers because his opponent has arrows. But cannon, there's basically nothing his opponent can do to get rid of his cannon. So he goes really aggressive here. Guards are really, really smart because he's going to go Ram Rider and the guards are going to do a great job DPSing it down, so he forces out a zap. Doesn't waste a cannon. Why waste a cannon? There's no point. You might as well get a counter push, right? Mighty Miner, he's going to pop the bomb. Goes for guards and a hog. So this is an interesting play by him. I'm not sure, I don't know if this was really the best play, but it kind of worked out. He applied pressure in the left lane, forced out the Mega Minion, which he doesn't really have to defend now. Or if he wants to, it's very, very easy. He just uses Evo Cannon, which just nukes the field. I mean, I'm kind of glad Evo Cannon's getting nerfed. Beautiful log. Again, this is something where he's realized that his cannon and his guards are going to carry this matchup. It's so free. You can't always rely on your firecracker. A lot of the times your firecracker is like low-key or win condition and also your main defensive piece. In this matchup, it's important, but his opponent has arrows, so it's not the key. Right, it's not what's going to win. He again pops the bomb and goes really aggressive. See, I think most players would have just stuck to the right lane, but he's applying pressure in both lanes for one particular reason. The reason is that his opponent wants to just Pekka in the back same lane. If you allow the opponent to just keep going Pekka in the back same lane, you can never push, because anytime you try and get a hog into it, even if you get damage, he's going to play support troops and get a crazy counter push on the way back. If you split up your opponent's elixir, and this is just something that's about all cycle decks, is you sort of split your attack to both lanes against heavy decks, unless there's one tower's really, really low. But generally the strategy is you split your damage so that they can't commit too much into one lane. And that was just a really beautiful game. Honestly, clean as hell. So the next matchup that he goes up against is Boss Bandit Drill Cycle. Now I already know that a lot of you guys are losing this matchup, and it's completely understandable why, because the way in which he plays this matchup, as you'll see, is you're meant to play this matchup almost like a beatdown player. It's actually quite funny. You're meant to play this matchup by just solely focusing on your defense, because your strength is that you have really good defense. So you can defend most of his drill pushes if you're focusing on it with basically no damage. His strength is that he can defend most of your pushes with basically no damage. So it's basically a game of who can set up the best defending and then get the best counter push. Like right here, opponent defended, opponent now attacks. So, okay, he does miss his guards there. But in general, what you're trying to do is you're trying to mix up the different ways that you can use your cards to defend against drill pushes. Because you have many ways. You can go for a cannon, you can go for an Ice Spirit log, you can go for a log Ice Spirit, you can go for guards, you can go for Firecracker Ice Spirit, you can go for Firecracker Guards or Skellies if you're running Skellies, you can go for Firecracker Log. There are so many different ways of fully defending a drill, and then usually you use your cannon to defend the support troops with something else, like a Mighty Miner or whatever, right? So the thing that's particular in this matchup is that his opponent has Boss Bandit, right? So you need to kind of identify which one of your cards counters his cards. Snowball you can't counter, Spear Goblins get countered by Log, Guards get countered by Log, Drill gets countered by everything I just said, Log you can't counter, Cannon gets countered by Earthquake, Ice Spirit you don't need a counter for. But the Boss Bandit, you need to be sure that you have the counters. So Boss Bandit gets countered by Mighty Miner, and it gets countered by the Guards. It also can, as a secondary, get countered by something plus cannon. Now, the Boss Bandit can pop the ability, but the most important thing is that you keep at least one of them in cycle, either your Mighty Miner or your Guard. And you'll notice he does that throughout the game, because if you don't and you're caught in a bad cycle without either of them, how are you going to defend the Boss Bandit? You basically can't. So that's basically what his strategy is. So that really, really solid defense. He's setting up a cannon. His opponent doesn't have a big spell, so it's pretty easy for him to just stack cannons and nothing can really go wrong. Or he can, or rather, once he is stacked cannons, once he's got his defense, then he counter pushes with a hog plus his firecracker. I think firecracker is the biggest thing in all drill matchups for Hog EQ, is that if you can try and stack your firecrackers, so play them in the same lane, make sure they counter the drill, and then go on the offensive, usually you can get so much damage because they just can't defend, right? You can stack a lot more than they can stack, which is why I actually think this is a really good matchup for Hog EQ, if you know how to play it. It's not the easiest thing to play, but if you know how to play it, it's really good. Like, look here. He defends, doesn't take really any damage, and now he has a Mighty Miner, and he has a Firecracker ready. Now, that Firecracker is just going to get logged or something, right? It's not going to be allowed to live. However, you can see stacking cannons. He has 2 cannons on the field. He's going for guards. His opponent doesn't have any splash cards. So you can just see how he's, like, methodically keeping all of his cards ready just to defend the drills and then counter pushing. Another thing is that he keeps going for his Mighty Miners onto the drills or going for Mighty Miner in the back. In general, when you're playing any Hog EQ deck, but especially this one, you want to try and abuse your 3-card cycle. So that means going for it in the back and then aggressively cycling to defend his drill. So like the best way of defending a drill would be go for a Mighty Miner onto it and then use your cards to defend like the rest of his support troops, and at the same time go for hogs. And you can see how that's basically the formula he followed to just decimate and win that game. The next game I did manage to miss the beginning, but if there's one game in this whole video I think that you guys need to watch, it's going to be this one, because this is by far like one of the hardest matchups for Hog EQ, is Recruits, but not Recruits Bait, Recruits Pigs. Incredibly difficult matchup, and you're going to see he's playing, by the way, top 50 on ladder, top 100, top 50 on ladder, and he's making these players look like children. It's actually some of the most impressive gameplay I've ever seen. And all I can do is try my best to explain to you guys how he's managing to do this. So he goes for a cannon here for one reason, that he knows his opponent's flying machine is out of cycle. If they have flying machine in cycle, you cannot, and you will straight up lose if you go for a cannon and they have flying machine. So you need to be ready with that. Opponent goes in the back with split Evo recruits, and so he responds with a Mighty Miner. Now you're going to see how you want to basically focus some troops on the right, some troops on the left. Let's see how he does it. Ice Spirit here just to stun. Beautiful hog, right? Here's the reason. He goes for a hog so that he can basically stop his opponent for using any spells onto his cannon, right? His Mighty Miner is doing an incredible amount of damage, doing really, really good damage with the ice, because all he did was Ice Spirit, and then he went Mighty Miner. The left side I'm not going to talk about, because all he did was go cannon and then log, right? Cannon until he got enough elixir. But now, the reason that hog was genius is because now he actually has enough elixir to go for a hog and to get a counter push of any kind. Like, trying to get even one hog hit, which he gets here, is so difficult. Now he can go for this Firecracker, gets really good value. Firecracker cleans up everything. I mean, look at that. That's just Evo Firecracker do even Evo Firecracker things. He tries to protect it, but doesn't quite manage to. Mighty Miner, log, and then the bomb, right? So log to get rid of the shield, then you bomb. Also, the flying machine manages to go in front because of it. Look at this, really, really high cannon, and then also a hog to tank for the flying machine. So you can see how he's using everything to its maximum potential, right? So that Evo cannon, he goes at the bridge to hit everything with the shot. And then he also goes for a hog to pull the support troops back so that the tower can lock onto the flying machine. There's like so many things going on here. And you can see that he is down a little bit of damage, and he punishes his opponent's mistakes. His opponent there just messed up. His opponent should have killed the musketeer, the firecracker, but because he missed, he overprotects it. He's still protected. Look at this, firecracker is still alive. And the reason that's so good is because now if he ever goes arrows, I mean, the Hog EQ player already has his firecracker back in cycle. Look at that, beautiful hog, timed it to perfection, and then he goes for this. So Firecracker on the right side gets one shot, then gets arrows. Mighty Miner up top, pops the bomb, and then also uses guards on the left just to distract. How the hell do you defend that with 0 damage? Like, that's just nuts defense. You can see how well he's just... Honestly, guys, you need to rewatch this gameplay. Again, goes for a hog at the perfect time. His opponent goes in for pigs. And I guarantee you he knew that. Like, he knew how much elixir his opponent had and goes for it, like, kind of predicting it. Goes for just really solid defense, and now he's trying to cycle back to a hog before his opponent can get back. So here he goes for a firecracker, and now he's going to use a hog to pull all of this stuff back whilst using guards just to distract. Hog's on the right side, opponent has 0 elixir. He pops the bomb again, beautiful bomb. If you guys didn't know, one firecracker shot plus Mighty Miner bomb is enough to kill a flying machine. Same with a, you can also exchange either of the two things I just said with a Evo cannon, like barrage. I mean, just look at this again. One firecracker shot, he pops the ability, kills the flying machine. At the same time, he goes for guards up top. Evo cannon just cleans everything up in a log. I mean, this is like, I don't know, this kind of gameplay is just ridiculous. I don't know how he's doing this. Opponent just gives up because he knows he's lost. Like, literally crazy, crazy gameplay. Up next, we have a matchup that I think a lot of inexperienced HockeyQ players lose, but realistically, you should never lose. And so I'm going to basically explain how not to lose this matchup, not how he won it, mainly because it is your matchup and you shouldn't really be losing it. So this is the meta E-Golem, Goblin Machine kind of deck. And the key thing to note is that A, they have arrows, just like here, so you're basically never going to get like tons of firecracker value. You might usually get 1 or 2 shots and then it's dead. Another thing to note is they have Evo skeletons. The reason why you need to note that is because oftentimes you'll defend a massive push, then you'll go for a hog at the bridge, you'll be like, yeah, I'm going to get so much damage. They're at 0 elixir, you have 4 elixir, you throw a hog, then they have skeletons. And they'll often just tank some damage just to use skeletons to get an even bigger attack. So this is kind of how you attack, right? So he's going for this pressure. Really nice firecracker just to line everything up so it also shoots the bats. Uses guards just to clean up the little blobs. He's just distracting. For the meantime, he's just distracting the Skeleton King, right? Brought it to the middle, goes for a hog, so if the opponent used his ability, he would not have been able to defend the hog. Again, really smart hog, gets 2 hits. You also go for the hog, again, his opponent has arrows, which is another reason, and this is something you can note in general for your HockeyQ gameplay. That's why he goes for his Evo Firecracker up high. Opponent just decides to let it go, which is why, I mean, he basically didn't have to go for a cannon. He just took the damage to get a counter push, a really big counter push. And he has a massive, massive attack going. Opponent uses Evo Skeletons, and he was ready with the log. You see how fast he reacted? He was waiting for it, and he just waited till the opponent messed up. And that's basically GG's. I mean, I'm still going to keep the game going so you can see how he defends the massive push, because it's worth noting how you defend these massive pushes. But in terms of offense, he's already won the game. So long as he can defend this crazy split lane push, that's obviously going to happen. So going for a Firecracker on the right, it's already dead, but he had 3-card cycle. Evo Cannon doing Evo Cannon stuff. Really, really important that you pop the bomb onto Night Witches, especially in Golem and E-Golem matchups. If you don't pop the bomb, the bats just go crazy. Like, you really need to make sure that you let that Mighty Miner get to like 1 HP and then you pop the bomb. So you time it so that when it's at like a 1/3 or a 1/4 HP, that's when you click the button, the ability button, just so that you guarantee the bomb goes off. Because without it, that's basically how you lose. Goes for really nice set of guards, and I mean, look, this is basically how you win the matchup. Is just Firecracker early, let them arrows, get another Firecracker, defend with your cannon, and then your bomb as well. Next up, we have a really tricky matchup against Royal Giant Monk, and you're going to see how quickly he manages to end this game just by basically outplaying essentially one of the best players in the world. I mean, he's playing top 50 right now, so use that ability early for the same reasons I mentioned earlier in the video. And look, he applies loads of pressure in the left lane, knowing he can fully defend with guards. And then look at that Mighty Miner. He switches the Mighty Miner lane because he knows that his opponent has nothing for a Mighty Miner. So he applied all the pressure in one lane and then swapped, whilst at the same time just letting his guards deal with the Monk and the Royal Giant. I mean, that was like, that's basically game over. An opponent just throws in the fireball, throws in the towel, GG's. So this next game is against none other than Raken, the #1 Lava Loon player in the world. And you're going to see how Mo manages to beat him with nothing other than 1 air card, just the Firecracker. So, I mean, there's a lot of technical stuff to explain in this game, so I'll try my best to break it down. So, okay, he goes for a hog first play, and first thing he's trying to do is identify which lava deck. I mean, he might actually know which deck Raken's playing, but in your game, you should try and identify which lava deck are they playing. Goes for guards, really nice set of guards. Just, you can see how the Valkyrie's only hitting them 1 at a time. Again, that's a really good guards like placement, having them lined up. So before he goes really aggressive when his opponent goes lava, he first goes for a Firecracker. He doesn't have Hog in cycle, so instead of just wasting his cards, first he goes for his Mighty Miner, deals a lot of damage in the left lane, opponent zaps, and you're going to take damage. Single Elixir is probably where you'll struggle the most when you're playing Hog EQ against Lava Lily. So in single, he's just trying his best not to basically lose his tower. He also gets a really nice Hog, distracts the support cards, and still gets a lot of damage. So in this matchup, split lane pressure is key, like making sure you get damage on both sides is really important. Because if you focus too much on one lane, they can always just sack the tower, or they can like try and deal as little damage as possible, and then get a massive counter push. So both sides kind of messed up there. I mean, Raken didn't kill the Firecracker in time, but then Mo kind of failed supporting it. Really nice guard predict by the opponent, but still, Hog at the bridge gets tons of damage. The reason he went really aggressive there with Mighty Miner and Hog was just to stop Raken from going Lava in the pocket, because he had Lava Hound in cycle, and he doesn't want to let him get Lava Hound in the pocket. You can see how aggressive he just went with his Firecracker, just to ensure he gets insane amounts of damage. This game is not over though, because it's very easy to lose, like, and not be able to defend this massive balloon air push that's about to come. So this is a good cannon placement to learn. Goes for his Mighty Miner to tank for the Skeleton Dragons. Inferno Dragon, he tried going for guards to pull everything away, but Evo Valkyrie is doing Evo Valkyrie things. Raken Fireballs the Firecracker, so I mean look at this, even throwing a Hog just to pull everything away. Ice Spirit, and then look at this, Evo Cannon, just nuking everything on the field. Beautiful play. Goes for a Mighty Miner, but he really smartly decides not to pop the bomb because he notices the balloon isn't going to take the tower, and he might as well just go all in. There's 16 seconds left, and he basically just needs to get damage. So, takes the tower, 10 seconds left, all he has to do is stall, and yeah, just cannon up high. And you can see just like how well he manages to play that matchup. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.